Warning. Warning. UFO detected.
I was originally going to review XCOM Enemy Unknown and the expansion pack Enemy Within, but I think that XCOM UFO Defence, the first game in the series, is the superior game. Unfortunately, the game has a lot of problems that makes it very hard for new players to get into, unless they're willing to read the instruction manual in detail. There's no tutorial, and the various on-screen buttons don't have tooltips, so I thought I would include a beginner's guide for anyone interested in this game, as the trappings of old DOS game design methods can be rather intimidating. Before I get into anything specific, I should explain how the game works. XCOM differentiates itself from most other games by using procedurally generated missions. This is preferable to a pre-made single-player story, as most strategy games have really dull stories, especially when they have a generic alien invasion plot. In fact, the lack of cutscenes proves to be a superior storytelling method. As you manage your base and fight the aliens, small details of the story emerge in the aftermath of each battle. You research alien technology, autopsy various alien species to find out their weaknesses, and capture live aliens for interrogation. At the start of the game, you decide where to build your first base and what to name it. It starts with 2 Interceptors and a Sky Ranger. The Sky Ranger has 8 soldiers on board equipped with conventional weapons. Supplement this with electro flares, at least 1 stun rod, and ammo whenever you need it. You should hire about 10 more soldiers to fill out the 14 seats on the Sky Ranger, and have spare soldiers for when they die. The Interceptors start off with fairly useless cannons and Stingray missiles. Replace these with avalanche missiles as soon as you can. In the Research tab, you should start by researching medikits, which can save soldiers from dying of delayed wounds. When the research is complete, you can use the Manufacture tab to make them. Other than that, the first new facilities you should build are the Alien Containment and Large Radar System. You'll also need to build general stores and living quarters to get more scientists, engineers and equipment. With all that done, you're ready to fight your first UFO. If you're unlucky, like in this interception event, the UFO will outrun your interceptor. Avalanche missiles have the most range of the early ship weapons and have the best chance of shooting down UFOs. If you fail to shoot down UFOs, you can sometimes detect them landing nearby. If you can land your Sky Ranger before they take off again, you can kill the aliens and recover alien technology and materials. In fact, you can only get Illyrium from undamaged UFOs, so you will need to let some of them land on their own. The equipment screen opens when the Sky Ranger lands. Most weapons and equipment are auto-equipped to every soldier, but certain items have to be equipped manually. If a mission happens at night, you will need to use electro flares to avoid being ambushed by aliens hiding in the dark. In order to fight effectively, you need to know what all these buttons do and when to use them. The up and down arrows with a man are used for vertical movement, which is only used in specific situations like using flying suits. The up and down arrows with a ladder are used to move the view up and down between floors. This button helps by having a map. This button will crouch, which can give better accuracy and cover. This button will open the inventory. Keep in mind that it uses a lot of time units to take items out of your backpack. If you have scrolled the map too far and can't find your current soldier, This button will center the view on them. This button will cycle between soldiers, and I would only recommend using the top button. The bottom button does much the same thing, but after using it the buttons seem to glitch out and stop working. This button will display rooftops and other elements usually hidden to help you see better. The question mark button opens the options screen, which is the only way to save during a mission. The dropship icon will abort the mission. If you are losing badly, you can get your remaining soldiers onto the dropship and escape. Also, saving and aborting is the only way to quit in the middle of a mission. This button will end your turn. It doesn't ask you to confirm, so make sure not to press this accidentally. The two black rectangles are the items in your left and right hands. That about wraps up the 2 rows of buttons, so I'll explain how to move and attack. Each soldier can use a limited number of time units every turn. There are 4 different ways to move. The green arrow will move as far as possible until the soldier runs out of time units. The snapshot button will make them stop when they have enough units to do a snapshot. The aimed and auto shot buttons work in much the same way, but require more time units so they can't move as far each turn. When you move, your soldier may stop and a glowing number shows in the corner. This means they've spotted an alien. To attack, click on the weapon icon to show the different firing modes. The snapshot uses the least number of time units, but is very inaccurate. The aim shot is more accurate, but uses up most of 1 turn's worth of time units at once. The auto shot fires 3 shots in a row, but is the least accurate of all the firing modes. You can also throw your gun at your enemy, if you're a moron. Once you've decided, click on the type of shot you want and then click on the enemy. You can select the type of shot and click the glowing number icon to center the view on the enemy, which helps if you accidentally move the view away. In the early game you have to be very careful about choosing when to attack. Rookie soldiers are very inaccurate and bullet-based weapons are weak, sometimes taking multiple shots to kill a single alien. Even worse, enemies can return fire if they're facing you and have enough time units. Make sure this doesn't happen, or you will end up with a whole bunch of dead soldiers. You can use various explosive weapons like grenades and blaster bombs. To throw a grenade, prime it using a large chunk of time units, making sure you have enough spare time units to throw it. When you prime it, the timer sets the number of turns before the grenade explodes. So if you set it to 0, it will explode at the end of the turn you throw it. Blaster bombs are much easier to aim and can attack from a great distance if you know how to use it properly. You have to set 3 waypoints to determine the path of the missile. In open ground it's better to fly it straight up, go over all the terrain and then drop it straight down on top of the enemy. It's a bad idea to fire it horizontally outside because it could easily miss. The hover tank missile launcher is very similar to a blaster bomb and the waypoints are controlled in the same way. This demonstrates the best path to fire a missile into a door. Make it go near the door, angle it straight through and then turn to face the enemy. In the very late game, after you've researched the mind probe and built a psionic lab, you can build the Psi-Amp, which lets your soldiers use psionic powers. You can use either panic unit or mind control, but they can only target enemies you've already seen. The panic unit directly attacks the enemy's morale, and if it drops low enough they will panic. Mind control is very hard to use, but has more chance of success if used on enemies who have panicked. Of course, certain enemies like ethereals have the same psionic powers with the rule that they have to spot you before they can use it. A simple counter to psionic powers at the start of a mission is to send tanks to scout first, as they are immune. After all, psionics don't work on remote piloted drones. That sums up everything you need to know about the combat. Other than that, I will give a short list of the best technologies to research in order to fight on equal terms with the aliens. Assuming you started by researching medikits, the next thing should be alien alloys which unlocks personal armour. After that, Laser weapons will help you fight more effectively, as they're the only weapons with infinite ammo. If you keep researching, you can get laser cannons for your interceptors. These laser cannons are also the key to my personal money trick, which I used in this game to get millions of dollars. Bear in mind that each laser cannon requires $180,000 to make, so if you make 10 for $1.8 million, you can sell them for $300,000 profit. When you build up a good surplus, you can keep making these to generate money, but of course you should prioritize making equipment for soldiers or interceptors. Another good way to make money is to sell alien corpses and weapons you can't use, but keep at least one of them for research. Also, never sell Illyrium. Just don't. Eventually, you'll want power armor suits and the Firestorm. To get them, you need to research Illyrium, UFO power source, and UFO navigation. If you want plasma weapons earlier, you can research them any time after you have alloys and Illyrium. When you have all of these, you'll get one of the most badass fighter dropships in any game, the Avenger. Once you have an Avenger full of psionic soldiers and hover tanks, you probably don't need my help anymore. Since I've explained in ludicrous detail all the tips and tricks I can think of, you're probably wondering what I think of the more recent XCOM Enemy Unknown, and the expansion pack Enemy Within. Unfortunately, this video is too long already, so I'll have to leave it for next time.